Good morning. This is J.D. Henry with the Key to Understanding Credit, Amazon's #1 bestseller. Today I have my special guest, Dr. Tom Wood, that's retired from Sam Houston State University in psychology. He was a department director there and originally came here at Sam Houston State University to serve as dean. Welcome today.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Appreciate you. We're here today to critique my book. He's read it, and we're just going to go through it and see what he thought about the book.
Okay. I was very impressed with reading the book. It's very clear and very to the point. And while it's a small book, I think you've really covered all the important parts about credit. And it's very discouraging now in the society to see what's going on financially. I saw the other day that our credit card credit nationally is at an all-time high.
It's over $1 trillion.
And the government, the debt is like 34 trillion or something, higher than it's
Correct.
ever been. And so they just keep adding to the debt without any sense of what can we do to reduce it. And I thought the book would be really good for young people, adolescents, young adults, because it seems to me like those are the ones that get in the most trouble. I know that was my case when credit cards first came out. I thought I could buy some things that I really couldn't afford. So the book really details a lot of good information, like the vocabulary, defining terms,
Sure.
and the notion of having budgets and the charts that are there to help people prepare a budget. I don't think a lot of young people today, would have any clue about how to develop a budget. So years ago, I was preparing teachers at Auburn University. And the last semester I had a seminar on finance. And I had them develop a budget and they were going to be teachers, so I told them the teacher's salary. And they were all going to buy cars when they got out of school. So after they went through the budget and learned about, taxes and Social Security and health care, no, they weren't going to buy cars.
Right.
They had no, going from parents' home to the university and having the parents give them an allowance. They had no clue about how to operate in the world on their own. So I hope that was very helpful. But one point I would make is I think that high schools should have a course,
Right.
a required course. Because if you look at the problems that occur, both with young people and then even in marriages, where they say financial problems are a serious problem and cause divorce.
Well, it is the #1 destroyer of relationships is financial. And, I wrote this book for young people since it's not taught in class at all. Very few classes do teach it, whether it be homeschooling, whether it be charter schools, whether it be public schools, and very few parents. And it's so important because you've got to learn how to handle money, and all credit is borrowed money that you are promised to pay back at a certain time. And of course, I was very fortunate at a very young age to manage a clothing store downtown here on the square in Huntsville. And one of my main jobs was to set up credit accounts. And that's when things were more simpler, meaning setting it up. We didn't have the computers, we didn't have cell phones, but everything was done by paper. People come in, fill out a paper form to open up a charge account. We opened those charge accounts, and then we graded the charge accounts depending on their credit score. And I got to see really how important credit was at a young age. And then of course one of the tough parts of that job was collecting slow pay and slow debt. So there were people that didn't pay on time, and there were some people that didn't pay at all. I'll never forget, I had one gentleman tell me that, you know, y'all just write it off because you can afford it. Well, that's not the right attitude. And, you know, your credit is basically your reputation, Tom. You know that.
I do.
And as a young man, my daddy showed us here locally at the cafe, and let's say I was 10 years old, and he pointed out several people, says, now, stay away from that man, stay away from that man. And we asked him why, and he says, well, they don't do what they'll say they'll do. And so basically credit is the same thing. You fill out an application online or on paper, and you read the fine print, and it is the promise to pay back that debt that you owe.
What kind of responsibility do you think the government might have in this whole credit thing? Because I got a letter from a credit card the other day, said we're going to a 29.9 interest rate. And then if you miss a payment, like I had a $50 charge and I missed a payment because we were out of state and the mail was being held, ended up paying $30 late fee on a $50 charge. So do you think that we need more regulation in terms of what these credit card companies are doing? I know the individual is typically at fault because they're the ones running
Sure.
up the debt. But do we need more control over how the credit card companies operate?
Well, let me first say that I just went through the same thing that you have done with the mail. The United States Post Office is right now is going through a crisis, and the mail is terrible. And we always paid by mail, and I had a late fee of $54. Now, what we did, since we were good customers, we got on the phone and called the credit card company, and they took that fee off. And now my wife and I are paying it online. Which we pay it online. That's the way to do it because of the mail service. Now, back to the government. You know, we have so much regulation going on right now. They've got so much overreach in our lives. You know, do I think there needs to be a cap on interest rate? You know, a cap, not 30%, maybe 15%. These credit card companies, they love people that are late.
Right.
And can't pay on time because they've made trillions and trillions
They're
and
raking it
trillions
in.
of dollars off those people, and they don't like customers like me and Tom because we pay on time. We make the system work for us. In other words, they don't make anything off of us unless the Postal Service has stumbled in that payment's coming late. Now, as Tom mentioned earlier, it's ultimately the customer or if you will the consumer, you know, to take care of their business, to make sure that you pay it on time. And that's why it's so great to pay it online, because if you wait to the day before that payment's due, you go ahead and pay it and get credit for paying it. But see, when we got our credit card statement and we mailed it off in the mail, I always did it the next day.
You never knew.
And it 2.5 weeks later something happened to the mail. You know, it's
Right.
sitting somewhere and didn't go through. But I think yes, there does need to be a interest cap. That would help people a whole lot, and it would make people, you know, just be more aware of taking care of their business. But there again, the liability, just like any other debt, whether it be on a mortgage or a car payment, it's up to the individual to pay it on time.
Well, we overspent on credit cards, and we've gotten to the point now where we pay the balance. We don't carry a balance, except if it's something like Home Depot where they'll give you 12 months at no interest. I like to take advantage of that kind of thing, but I think when I get a statement, it'll say, okay, if you pay the minimum balance, it'll take 17 years to pay this
Right.
off. And that's if you don't add anything.
True.
So what do you think of these credit agencies that help people when they've gotten it really underwater with credit?
I think that they're good. Now, what you need to do is research them, find out through the Better Business Bureau how they're rated, find out maybe through a local chamber of commerce how they're rated. There's some companies out there, just like every other business, there's some companies out there that'll take advantage of
Yeah.
you and really won't help you. And And there are some wonderful companies out there that will help you, and we all need help in life sometime, and you've gotta ask for that help. But you make sure that you're contacting the right company, because what they can do, they can get that interest rate cut in half for you,
Right.
which is a big difference on you. Also, they can also negotiate. Let's say you owe $30,000 on 3 credit cards. They can negotiate for you to get it cut down to 15,000 total. You see, and cut that interest rate from 25% to 15%, and then put you on a consolidate all that debt into one note, and then you agree that, hey, I'm going to pay $200 a month for X amount of years to pay it off. But that's the way you get back on track. That's the way that you rebuild your credit, and then hopefully a lesson learned. In other words, that's the thing about all of us. We should learn from our mistakes. You owe $30,000 on 3 credit cards, and once you pay it all off, let's cut 2 of those credit cards in 2.
Absolutely.
And keep one. And I'm one of those credit type guys that I recommend that credit is good. Credit is good. It's like anything else, but it's how you manage it.
Exactly.
And just like when you go on vacation and go to a hotel, motel, they want a credit card on file.
Exactly.
They want that.
Or a rental car.
That's right. And if you're a young adult and you're going to move into an apartment and the utilities, water, electricity are going to be in your name, they want a credit card on file, and they're going to put a deposit on that credit card in case you don't. And,
Right.
and the smart thing to do there, if these utility companies provide you with it, is auto pay. In other words, have them to charge on that credit card every month what that particular bill is. Now, one thing that I will say, a lot of these companies today are charging 3 to 4 to 5% to use your credit card, especially in these restaurants and other places. And so I normally carry enough cash on me, if you will. I'm not going to pay the 3 to 4% using that. I'm going to that's the way to make the system work for you. And the way that I look at it, if you don't have cash to go out to eat, and you're going to charge it on the credit card at 4%, in other words, that restaurant's charging you 4%, you don't need to be eating out, Tom. You need to, if you want steak, go buy them. It'll be about 1/3 of the price, and have fun at home. If you want to have a different, let's say, atmosphere, go buy some candles and dress something up and enjoy it at home. But you have to work at it. It's not easy, and to discipline yourself to save money. You have to make sacrifices.
I was at a restaurant a couple of weeks ago where they said, if you pay cash, we'll give you a $7 discount.
There you go.
I said, great. I just
Amen.
happen to have enough money to cover that. But now when I go to that restaurant, I make sure I have the cash instead of putting it on the credit card.
See, and that's a learning curve that we all take. And you have to really look, because a lot of times when you go up to the counter, the waitress is not going to tell you after she's giving you your order and taking your order and you've eaten the food. You go up to the counter, and maybe in a little square there written on a piece of paper on the edge of the
Right.
counter, we
Yeah.
charge $3.99.
Right.
Well, and I've got now where if I don't see anything, I ask them, say, do y'all charge anything for me using my credit card? And so that's when you make the system work for you. In other words, you don't pay that interest rate to the vendor, and then when you get that bill in, you pay it off, and it's a wonderful thing. Tom, we're going to go take a break, and we'll come back
Okay.
and do part 2.
Okay.
Thank y'all for
Thank you.
watching our episode today.